Hello, people of the world watching new car reviews on the internet. Welcome to this, the 2025 Subaru Outback XT, the final year of this iconic rally-inspired wagon, because Subaru is killing it off and replacing it with an SUV, also named the Outback. So today, let's get this thing up in the air, nerd out in the tech specs, see how it's constructed, and then go give it a proper send-off. It's fitting that it's finished in cosmic blue pearl. Nice little nod to Subarus of yesteryear. Starting out back, if you were to replace this little silver finisher right here with a hitch, it'll tow up to 3,500 pounds. Dual stainless steel downturn mufflers. And oddly enough, they put a heat shield on the driver's side plastic near the muffler, but not the passenger side. Housed in the center of a steel rear subframe is the R160 open-type rear differential with a brake-based torque vectoring system. And because this is a non-wilderness XT, it has a 4.111 final drive ratio. The wildernesses get a 4.44. The Outback utilizes a double wishbone rear suspension configuration, aluminum knuckles. The upper wishbone is also aluminum. Front link tubular steel, the rest being stamped steel. And it's paired with a set of KYB coilover rear dampers. Rear anti-sway bar mounted to the back of the subframe, measures in at approximately 18 millimeter in change diameter. The front diff brace is aluminum, made in Japan. Finned aluminum diff cover, a steel two-piece drive shaft, twin resonators on the mid-pipe, which is all stainless steel in construction, measuring in at about 59 millimeters or a little more than 2¼ inch SAE. This 6th generation Subaru Outback, chassis code BT, being the XT touring model, is the heaviest in the lineup, weighing in at 3,946 pounds, almost Volvo territory there. As far as the transmission goes, it comes standard with Subaru's TR690 high torque lineartronic CVT, has a maximum torque input rating of 400 Newton meters or about 295 pound-feet, and it's paired to Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive, which is a longitudinally configured active torque split system featuring an electronically controllable hydraulic transfer clutch to determine how much torque gets distributed front to rear, plus with that brake-based active torque vectoring system left to right. Metal transmission pan. Sadly, they dropped the manual option way back in 2014. Because this is not a wilderness, the underbody cladding is made out of recycled wool pants. Ease of maintenance on these Outbacks is one of their strong suits, I feel. Ask me how I know. I've owned that guy 10 years now, since brand new. There's a ton of room over here on the passenger side of the transmission. The driver's side is quite a bit tighter because this is where you have the J-pipe coming from the turbo, which is mounted to this equal length exhaust manifold. Turbo is right there in the front, really easy to get to once you remove the skid plate here. Up front, the Outback utilizes a McPherson strut style front suspension with aluminum lower L-arms, cast iron front knuckles, a front anti-sway bar, measures in at approximately 24 millimeter in change diameter. I'm not going to critique this thing on skid plating because it's not the wilderness model. That's neat though. It's got little metal louvers on this vent on the passenger side. The driver's side doesn't have the metal louvers. All right, time for the braking test. Nothing behind me. Ready, set, go. Wow! Wow! That was unexpected. Quite a bit of nosedive. Super aggressive on the tires too. Screeched. Shorter than average stopping distance for sure. That was good. That was good braking. That braking was just made possible thanks to a 2-piston front caliper with a 315 millimeter or 12.4 inch front rotor. The wheels, they are an 18x7 with a positive 55 millimeter offset alloy manufactured by Enkei here in the USA, wrapped in a set of two 25/60 18-inch Yokohama Avid GT tires. plastic inner fender liners, and ride height-wise, more than a fist width on this touring model. While the vents are fake on the side of the post-facelift or Koki model front bumper, it does have kind of a throwback rally-inspired fog light, which is LED. There are no active grille shutters. Oh, look at that. It's got a front-facing cam. This isn't even a Wilderness. Outback on the side skirts is an Outback logo. I couldn't help myself. Hairy cardboard. Rear inner fender liners. These are the dirt daubs that are stuck to it. Outback, you go down to a single piston caliper with a 300mm or 11.8-inch rotor. The wheel and tire, same as you have up front. Just in case you want to randomly throw on a set of used STI wheels, this is a 5 on 114.3 PCD. This video is sponsored by me, my very own car detailing product company, RoboBubble, made in USA. And if you'd like to use what I use to keep my cars clean and also support this channel, this is how you can on my website, sarahantune.com. Thanks. In the name of science, it is now time to give this thing the beans. But first, assessment of bolstering. It's got some bolstering. The seats are finished in this chocolate brown leather. It's actually super soft, as well as the dashboard and door cards, and there's a little black leather stitched area below it. The seats are ventilated as well as heatilated. Cannot run them both at the same time, as well as dual memory. And the steering wheel is also heated. It's got a little trigger down here. As far as drive modes go, this does not have Subaru's SI drive. If I tap on this little car right here, brings up the menu for the vehicle dynamic control. I do have a control for X mode if I wanted to take this thing off-road, but since this is not a Wilderness model, I didn't see the point in doing an off-road review of it, because I've already done an off-road review of one of these. I can slap this over into the left and put it into manual mode, where I have some plastic flappy paddles in the back of the steering wheel that do turn with it when you turn the wheel. So let's see what this thing can do. Ready? Go. Little bit of a launch and then hesitated. Please, no fake shifts. Yeah, there we go. That's good. That's good. It's quick. These are quick. Where are you? Hood pop. No hood struts. Average weight for a hood. Does have ducting in it, to be fair. Underneath the hood of the 2025 Subaru Outback XT is the FA24F, which is a 2.4-liter horizontally opposed single turbocharged four-cylinder that produces 260 horsepower at 5,600 RPM, 277 pound-feet of torque from 2,000 to 4,800 RPM. Looking down alongside the frame rail on the passenger side of the engine, you can see it does have plastic valve covers, and I mean, I can get my foam finger between the valve cover and the frame rail right there. You can see the coil packs on the top. The driver's side of the engine bay, a little bit harder to get to because of the location of the battery, but you can see there is the driver's side valve cover and cylinder head. This is a 4-cam engine, and now my foam finger is stuck. Eat, come on. Yeah. Success, I got it out. Easy to access oil filter, top mounted. You can see AC compressor and alternator also both up top. Up by the accessory drive, there's a good amount of room up here too. Digging a little bit deeper on this 2,387cc Boxer 4-cylinder, it has a 94 by 86 millimeter bore and stroke with a 10.6:1 compression ratio. It does feature Subaru's dual ABCS active valve control system on both intake and exhaust cams, as well as this is a chain-driven engine with direct injection only. As far as the turbo goes, which is mid-mounted front center, it is a twin-scroll unit running at a peak 14.5 PSI. Oddly enough, it's just the lower end tank on the intercooler. It's plastic. The upper one is aluminum. You can see the intake manifold is also plastic. What I do like about this design is that right there is the top of the bell housing of the transmission. Really easy to get to the hardware right there. And these intercoolers don't take that long to remove, just a couple bolts and some clamps. It does appear to have an electronic brake booster. All this scaffolding you see under the hood is because it does not have a hood scoop, and it still has to direct that airflow to the top mount intercooler. Supposedly it didn't work with the eyesight system having hood scoop. Beans engage. A little bit of that slingshot action from the CVT. You just roll your foot into the throttle when you drive something with the Subaru's Lineartronic CVTs, and it just gives you that slingshot engage mode. The best way to drive one of these things is when it's not simulating the fake shifts. The manual mode is just kind of a gimmick. Luckily, because Subarus are like Legos, I'm sure eventually someone will swap a manual from a WRX into one of these, and it will probably be great. Now, I did review a Legacy XT not too long ago. This does weigh a bit more, and it sits a little bit higher ground clearance wise, so shouldn't handle, yeah, it doesn't handle as good as the Legacy, as you would expect. It'd be interesting to see what components from the Legacy could be swapped onto this, maybe to lower it using all factory Subaru parts. But I will say, the handling, it's not bad, especially considering it's only on a 7-inch wide wheel at 225. Upgraded wheel and tire on this thing, that's not why people buy them, but if you want to do off-roading, then go for the Wilderness model. That makes the most sense. It would have been nice for the Legacy and the Outback to get a STI TS limited edition before they were phased out as we know them. Well, the Legacy is completely killed off, sadly. In comparison to a Volvo Cross Country, which I reviewed not too long ago, that did feel heavier, and it was heavier. I almost want to say I feel like the Subaru, this is a little more floaty and shifty than the Volvo in corners, but barely. It does feel like it has a good foundation, though. I'm keep talking about performance with this car, and literally like 0.01% of the people buying this care about that. But I can't help it. That's just where my mind defaults. That's why I am a car enthusiast. And I'm sure there's some people out there that buy Subaru Outbacks that are still car enthusiasts, and they just need a practical daily driver wagon. Now, I'm gonna slap this thing into manual mode. I will say, as far as CVT goes, while I'm not a fan of CVT transmissions, Subaru does it the best out of everyone out there. I mean, the simulated fake shifts are quick-ish. Now, this thing is not without fault. One thing that I do notice about it, especially taking off from a dead stop, sometimes the transmission is a little slow to react, not as performance-oriented as I would like, but this is not a performance-oriented vehicle, despite it having the FA24F engine in it. I'm gonna try downshifting. I mean, that was, the second I touch it, it's good. Out back of the Outback, the hatch opens. The beauty of a station wagon is they look good, they're based on a car, they handle better than an SUV, and if you need more space than this, start throwing things away because you got too much junk. The little Carmen hard-on subwoofer, there's a net where you could stow a bloomin' onion under this rubber mat. That's a weird material, it's like plastic rubber. There's a piece of paper that says A and N, some foam, and a jack. The little picture on the button is rather boxy. I don't know if that was foreshadowing. Out back of the two front seats, I have approximately this much headroom and this much legroom. The rear seats are dual level heated, and I got a USB-A, USB-C, quad level map pockets. All the maps can fit in it. Not really the softest padding on the armrest. Some little flippers in the cup holder. Contrasting brown cloth. Oh, the rear seats do recline! All the windows are auto up down. The material in the door cards is almost like a grayish bluish black. I like it with the contrasting chocolate brown. It's got a normal size sunroof. That looks like a little robot guy with buck teeth wearing some goggles. Subaru Starlink infotainment system visually is pretty idiot-proof to use. One complaint is it can be a little slow and cumbersome at times loading things up, like the settings menu there. The Harman Kardon sound system that's in here is crisp and clear, sounds good, has a medium amount of bass to it. There is a slot in the center where you can toss a cell phone. It doesn't charge there though. Press this, bring up your cameras, front and rear facing, as well as it has a camera-based rear view mirror. Electric parking brake, LED, yep. Sunglass holder is kind of padded. Not really, it's just like some weird foam stuck to it. The center armrest is pretty squishy. Inside here, oh, there's like a storage area for a piece of bread. There's a hidden old school cigarette lighter port, as well as it's lined in some wool, and a hidden CD player. Since the very beginning, the Subaru Outback has always been built upon the foundation of a Subaru legacy. And now that the legacy is going away, it kind of makes sense why they're drastically changing the formula for the Outback. And what I have always liked about the Outback is that it was an off-road version of the legacy wagon. We haven't had a legacy wagon for a while now, although you could remove the roof rack on this thing and slam it on its ass and essentially you would have a legacy wagon. I hope that someone does that out there. This car did make a lot of sense because it is essentially a car still, a wagon, and they have the Ascent and the Forester if you want an SUV. So to add another SUV to Subaru's model lineup, even though SUVs apparently sell really well, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If you're in the market for a wagon, I will definitely say after this model year, you really only have Volvo and I think BMW and Mercedes, basically the German and European competitors are your only options. You kind of argue the Crown Signia is a wagon. I would say more of a wagon than it is a SUV or crossover. All the characteristics that you get from the Subaru Legacy are what make this an enjoyable vehicle to drive, and also a fuel efficient vehicle to drive as well, with this thing being all-wheel drive and turbocharged and pretty quick too on top of that. I've been averaging 25 and change mile per gallon. That's great for the performance and the fact that this almost weighs 2 tons. And even though this one is in the mid 40s fully spec'd out, for what you get, I feel that's still reasonable, especially if you look at inflation for when the Outback first came out essentially to now what it costs. Really, it comes down to personal preference on what you think is a good looking vehicle and what is practical to you. And maybe some of you will like that the Outback is changing forms. I liked this wagon and I'm sad to see it go. It is now time to give the 2025 Outback XT some scores. Starting with the bean score, the assessment of feeling you get in your gut when you give it the beans. And it's getting a rating of... That sounded like golf. Like, definitely sounded like golf. Imagine if I showed up at a golf course with this and I was just like all dead serious. I had like a thing of 12 of them. I don't know how many clubs you're supposed to have. Next is the cookie score, the assessment of value, and this top trim spec Touring XT with some options in the mid 40s gets a rating of, followed by the wrench score, the assessment of ease of maintenance, and it earns a rating of, followed by the squid score, the assessment of handling, and it gets a rating of, and lastly is the penguin score, the assessment on how much I personally like a vehicle, and the Outback XT gets a rating of, I'm gonna miss this thing. I have a wagon fetish. I know a lot of you watching do too. You've said it in the comments before. And who am I to say the direction of Subaru's styling, which way it should go? They do have a history of making things that are controversial looking, and everyone criticizes it at first, and then when it's at the end of its model life cycle, everyone loves it. So maybe that's gonna happen with the new Outback. Who am I to say? I'm just here talking to a foam finger with pet penguins that aren't even real. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this review. I'll see you soon with another. Bye.